what's up, everybody? It's DJ Anthony. How's it going? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Guess dish. Okay, so cell phones in schools. You're a parent. I'm a parent. Come on now. Cell phones in schools. Don't forget, I'm not giving any legal advice or healthcare advice. Always check with professionals. I don't know shit. Okay, so uh, you're seeing this across the country now. Cell phone banning in schools. So children, teens, preteens, tweens cannot bring cell phones either into schools, or they have to lock up their cell phone someplace. They can't bring it into the actual class. There's variations of the cell phone ban all throughout. Now, there's a town in New Jersey where I'm from that it's an elementary school. And so I think it's like first grade to seventh or eighth grade. They've banned cell phones for the kids. You can't even bring the cell phone into school. Bravo. They were, some parents, not all parents, but were up in arms about that. But now it's been, I think, year 2 or 3. Everyone loves it. It's all good. So where do you stand on this? Do you think there should be cell phone bans or modified, limited use? Should your child be able to have the cell phone on them at all times, no matter what, in class, out of class, in the gym, in the playground, in the class, right on, or are you for like, don't bring the cell phone to school at all? Where do you stand? So I think that the cell phone ban is a good thing. Either no cell phone in school, or kids have to lock up their cell phone somewhere before they get into class. You can't bring the cell phone into class. So maybe keep it in your locker, or it's put into a special holder before you enter the class, because kids are having a hard time. I'm a former teacher. I taught for 11 years. Kids are having a hard time concentrating. Now, I know you're going to say, not my child. My child's concentrating. Yeah, whatever. Listen, you're a little angel. I'm sure he or she's perfect, and but there's no need for, my opinion, as a parent and a former teacher, there's no need for a child from, doesn't matter what age, from kindergarten to 12th grade, no need to have a cell phone in the classroom at the minimum. Maybe put the phone in some kind of box or locking mechanism or a shelf or something outside the classroom. But I think even that, that's, then the kids are on the phone in the hallways. They're distracted. They're not getting an education. And also, they're certainly not paying attention to what's going on around them. Their heads are down. They're not fully absorbing their youth, their education, their socialization. So I think it's better to, either just have no cell phones in the schools, or again, there's a central location or spot where they can pick up their phone after school's done. It is a major distraction. It is hurting grades. It's hurting studying. Now, you may say, like, well, what if there's an emergency? Dun, 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 an emergency. Because for thousands of years, there were no cell phones. I grew up with no cell phones. I went to school in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, even early 2000s in college. I didn't have a cell phone. I managed to make it out. And you did too. Let's unpack this. Let's just use some common sense. Okay, what kind of emergency are you talking about that your kid needs the cell phone on them in the school? What is it? What is it? Draw that line for me, where your kid having the cell phone saves the world, saves their world. Does that? Where in documented history, anywhere on earth, this year or last year, the year before that, find a news article, find a stat somewhere where this just in, kid on the cell phone saved the whole school, or this just in, kid on the cell phone called mommy saved the whole school. Like, where? You mean like, oh, your little daughter or son, their tummy hurts? Okay, they have a school nurse for that. Go to the school nurse. If it's serious, they call you. You come, you pick up your kid. Boom, done. What's the problem? You have to get hold of your kid. Cool. Call the school. They'll get your kid. Like, there's no need for that cell phone, because any emergency, does not matter what it is. And I know what you're thinking now. You're thinking the big emergency, the big one, right? God forbid there is a crazy person that gets into the school, okay, and does, I can't even say it online, right? I can't even say it on YouTube, but uses an arm, okay, a weapon, okay, and does a mass, what? Okay, again, draw that line for me. How does your kid calling you mitigate or stop the bad guy? How does that happen? Like what? You're gonna put on your cape and fly over there? No. The school has procedures and they will take care of it, because calling you're not gonna do shit. You're not gonna, I'm gonna get down there. You ain't gonna do this. You're gonna get down there, they're gonna tell you, you can't come in the class, you can't go in the school. Try walking in a school. What are you going to do? You're going to be outside crying? Like, no, like, I'm not saying you shouldn't be in communication. Of course, call the school. What's going on? Call the police department. What's going on? But you getting on that phone or your kid calling you can't get into the school. You can't breach the school. So what? What are you going to do? So you're only going to make things worse. And again, I'm not saying don't do anything. I'm not saying don't inquire. I'm not saying don't call the school. Of course, call the school. But and listen, if you watch the news, they'll have you believe that these mass school, whats, are happening every school all the time, every second. I'm not saying to not be alert. I'm not saying don't have procedures. I'm not saying don't have safety. But if you look at stats, okay, we live in a country of 350 million people. Arguably, I don't know, 100 million of those 350 million are in some level of schooling. The odds of your kid, my kid, our kid, or our school having a mass something, or you know what I'm saying, is very small. Again, you watch the news, they will make it sound like it's happening everywhere. It's not happening everywhere, number one. And again, that's not to make light of it. It's very serious. We have to have protocol. We have to have safety. But again, draw that line for me. How is you calling up the school, or you calling your son or daughter on the cell phone? How does that stop things? How does that save everybody? It doesn't. It makes things worse, actually. You follow chain of command. You follow law and order. You're not getting into school anyways. So, but that's at the extreme, okay? Let's talk about more commonly, right? Mommy, my tummy hurts. Okay. Why do you need a cell phone for that? Kid goes to the nurse calls you. Or the kid just goes to the nurse and boom, you're good, or whatever. Like, there's no need for the kid to have a cell phone. I hurt my ankle. Okay, again, the school calls you, come pick up your kid. That's 99.99999999999% of what's going to happen, quote unquote emergencies. Okay. Grandma's sick. Okay. Call the school. What? Again, mom's going to be late picking you up. Again, call the school. Because the opposite is happening. The kid is on the phone. So when there's not these quote unquote emergencies happening, your kid is surfing the net, texting their friends, not getting an education, getting dumber, and falling to peer pressure, is on the internet where there's strangers on the internet. That's okay, right? You're okay with that, but you wouldn't drop them off at the mall, right? But by themselves, but you give them the cell phone. So this is what's happening. You can say, my child is not on the cell phone. I watch what they're doing. I have the app. Okay, even if your kid is not actively looking on a website, their friends are texting them. So now your kid is looking at the phone on his or her desk, like, oh my God, I want to pick up the phone. I want to pick up the phone. And they're not thinking about their education. This is the problem. So again, there's no way about the cell phone shouldn't be in the school. And guess what? Kids are loving it. The kids that come from the schools that have the cell phone bans, don't believe me, go research it yourself. They feel better. They feel happier. Let's talk about kid suicide, youth drugs, youth peer pressure, youth depression. Those are real emergencies. That's because of the cell phone. Hello? Anyone? Hello? Hello? So again, of course, we want to handle emergencies, and there's protocol for that. We don't need little Jane or Johnny calling mommy, or mommy calling Jane or Johnny. It doesn't solve anything. There's no documented case on earth where little Jane called mommy stopped the mass problem, and mommy saved the... No. The kid's got a headache. Okay, cool. Call the nurse. Nurse is going to call you. What? So Yeah, because the downside is you really the detriment is the cell phone. It's hurting your child. They're not getting an education. They're getting peer pressure. Again, you wouldn't drop your 11-year-old off at the mall all by themselves, would you? Okay, but you'll give them a cell phone because they can communicate with the whole world, all strangers. Be okay with that? Doesn't make sense. So it interrupts education. It's bad. It contributes to negative peer pressure, depression, anxiety. The cell phone, the cell phone, the cell phone, the cell phone. So if you care so much about your kid, really get off the cell phone. Hand the cell phone over. No cell phones in schools. It's a blessing, and it's a great thing. There's no again, if there's an emergency, there's protocol. Everything will be handled because you're not gonna break through the brick wall and oh my god, my little son's stomach hurts and I'm gonna blast through the windows and rappel down the wall and break into the school and give them tums. Like no, like again. Meanwhile, that phone is luring them, is hurting them, is distracting them. They're not getting an education. So the irony is the greatest emergency is they're on that phone. That's what's hurting them. Even if they're not on the phone is right there. It's by me. It's by me. I wonder what, oh my God, I hear it pinging. I hear it going off. Everyone's texting, but I can't pick it up because my parents would be mad, but I want to pick it up. Meanwhile, they should be paying attention in school, but they're not because the phone, the phone, or they're taking photos and selfies. Again, education. So the cell phone is needs to be not in the classrooms. That's for damn sure. And honestly, just don't even bring it in the building. You have it at 3 o'clock when you're done. Even for older quote unquote kids. I would say college too. I mean, it's like, I'm not saying don't have a cell phone, but it really can't be in classes. And by the way, not that your kid would ever cheat, but yeah, that's not happening. Yeah, but I mean, like, again, and the kids, I understand, try to get around it. Smart watches and who the hell else knows, right? But again, it's hurting kids' education. So that's what I think. What do you think? Put comments below. I'm out of here, okay? DJ Tony. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye.